I'm John, and welcome to SD Global News. From the news of the judicial crackdown on migrants living lavishly at the British taxpayers' expense to the extraordinary journey of a church on the wheels in Sweden, here are our stories. In a ruling that might set a precedent in the future, the UK High Court issued a temporary injunction against a migrant hotel operating in Epping. The ruling comes at a time when thousands of natives are lining up in front of the hotels to protest against the sheltering of illegal immigrants at taxpayers' expense.
In a significant ruling, the High Court has ordered the suspension of migrant accommodation and the removal of asylum seekers residing at the Bell Hotel in Essex. The court granted a temporary injunction sought by Epping Forest District Council to hold the housing of asylum seekers at the hotel. The interim order, issued on August 19, requires the hotel to be cleared of residents within 14 days and prohibits further use for accommodation until September 12. During the hearing, the government attempted to delay proceedings, arguing that the matter had a substantial impact on national security. However, the judge dismissed the Home Secretary's claim and allowed the case to proceed. The ruling also applies to properties owned by Somali Hotel Group, which operates several establishments in the Epping area used for housing asylum seekers. The family behind the group, originally of Pakistani origin and known for its political ties, has faced several legal disputes over migrant housing. Lawyers representing the hotel group argued that the decision could set a precedent, leading other hotels to withdraw from housing asylum seekers. However, Justice Iyer, who presided over the case, rejected those arguments. The ruling comes amid heightened tensions as thousands of local residents recently staged protests outside the Epping Hotel after an asylum seeker of Middle Eastern descent reportedly escaped from the premises and assaulted a 14-year-old girl.
The Catholic Church in Latin America is marking a milestone in synodality as the Ecclesial Conference of the Amazon gathers bishops, clergy, laity, and indigenous representatives for its first assembly in Bogota, Colombia. Created 5 years ago after the Amazon Synod, CEMA aims to strengthen pastoral work, embodying Pope Francis' vision of a more inclusive church.
The Ecclesial Conference of the Amazon, CEMA, opened its first assembly of bishops in Bogota, Colombia, 5 years after its creation, Vatican News reported. The gathering brought together bishops, priests, religious men and women, lay leaders, catechists, and indigenous representatives to discuss pastoral priorities in the Pan-Amazonian region. CEMA was formed following the Amazon Synod and Pope Francis' exhortation Querida Amazonia, which envisioned a pan-Amazonian ecclesial body to coordinate pastoral action. According to Vatican News, the structure differs from ordinary episcopal conferences because it includes laity in decision-making, reflecting the vision of the Apericida document. Cardinal Michael Zerni, prefect of the dicastery for promoting integral human development, described the event as a true miracle. He compared CEMA's stage of growth to a child beginning school, still young but ready to mature. According to sources, CEMA's mission remains grounded in the lived realities of the Amazon. Sources noted the region is not only a geographical but also a theological space where communities shape their faith through lived experience. Church sources emphasized that the conference represents a new sphere of synodality in Latin America and offers lessons for the wider church.
On August 19, Pope Leo XIV visited historic Mantrella Shrine in Guadagnolo, praying before its 13th century Marian statue and spending time with the resurrectionist priest who care for it. The sanctuary, rich in Catholic tradition, has been visited by past popes and traces its origins back to Emperor Constantine and Pope Sylvester I in the 4th century. On August 19, Pope Leo XIV visited the shrine of Our Lady of Grace at Mentorella in the village of Guadagnolo and prayed before a 13th century statue of Mary. Pope Leo also visited the cave of St. Benedict at the shrine, where St. Benedict is believed to have lived for 2 years early in the 6th century. After prayer, the Holy Father spent time with the Polish Resurrectionist religious who looked after the sanctuary. Late Pope St. John Paul II visited the Mentorella shrine, often as bishop and cardinal. He went there to pray before the conclave that elected him in 1978 and 2 weeks after his election. Pope Benedict XVI had also visited the sanctuary in 2005. According to Catholic tradition, it was the place where St. Eustachius is said to have converted in the 2nd century. Emperor Constantine built the Marian Basilica in the 4th century and Pope Sylvester I consecrated it. The shrine was under the Benedictine until the 14th century. Pope Pius IX placed the Congregation of the Resurrection in charge of the shrine in 1857. International Desk, Shekinah News. Israeli officials have rejected a Qatari-mediated ceasefire plan that it proposed releasing hostages in phases rather than all at once. Meanwhile, the IDF has intensified operations against Hamas, announcing the assassination of commanders involved in the October 7 attacks.
Despite Hamas's approval of the ceasefire agreement mediated by Egypt and Qatar, Israeli officials have cast doubt on the durability of the agreement. According to the Times of Israel, certain officials in Jerusalem are not supportive of a phased ceasefire and instead insist on the unconditional release of 60 hostages currently held in Hamas captivity. The proposal, which was endorsed by Hamas officials on Monday and drafted by Egyptian and Qatari delegations, includes a provision stipulating the phased release of hostages rather than their release in a single stage. Hamas's announcement followed Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's decision to pursue a complete takeover of Gaza City. Netanyahu also rejected the prospect of a phased agreement. Although he has not officially responded to Hamas's approval of the ceasefire, the Prime Minister's office issued a statement asserting that the cabinet will not approve any deal unless Hamas holds its terrorist operations in Gaza. Meanwhile, Israel Defense Forces sources announced the assassination of Hamas Nukba commander Mohammed Naif Abu Shamala, one of the principal organizers of the assault against Israeli civilians on October 7, 2023.
Israel has intensified its attack on Hamas as Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz announced the launch of Gideon Chariots B, a major offensive of IDF to seize 75% of Gaza City. As the first phase of the operation, IDF killed 18 Hamas militants involved in attacks on an IDF encampment in southern Gaza.
The process of taking down Gaza is in full swing as the Israeli Defense Force has called up 60,000 reserves in anticipation of future military expansion. After approving the Israeli Prime Minister's plan to launch a military operation, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz kicked off the official offensive Gideon Chariot B, which will see the IDF grab 75% of Gaza City. According to Channel 12, emergency draft orders known as Order 8 have been issued by the Israeli army as tens of thousands of reserve orders are expected to line up in army bases. In the latest update by the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force was able to kill 18 Hamas terrorists who took part in attacks on an IDF encampment in southern Gaza. The 8th of the gunmen was killed when the soldiers exchanged fire while others managed to escape through the tunnel.
Sweden's historic Kiruna Church has begun a 2-day 5-kilometer journey to a new city center to protect it from ground subsidence caused by Europe's largest underground iron ore mine. The 113-year-old wooden church, called the soul of the city by its vicar, symbolizes Kiruna's transformation while carrying deep religious and emotional significance.
Sweden's landmark Kiruna Church, often voted the country's most beautiful, has begun a historic two-day journey to its new city center, Reuters reported. Weighing 600 tons, the 113-year-old wooden church was skillfully elevated from its foundations and set onto a custom-built trailer to protect it from ground subsidence linked to the world's largest underground iron ore mine. The relocation forms part of a 30-year project to move some 3,000 homes and 6,000 residents as mining expansion threatens the ground beneath the old town. According to Reuters, public and commercial buildings are either dismantled or rebuilt or relocated intact, and new homes, shops, and a city hall now form the heart of Kiruna's emerging city center. The relocation is not just about preservation. The church embodies profound spiritual and emotional significance. Premier Christian News highlighted Vicar Leonard Schronberg's description of the church as the soul of Kiruna, a place of comfort that inspires both joy and sadness as it leaves its century-old home. The move also stirs tension for the indigenous Sami community, who warn of disrupted reindeer herding routes vital to their traditions. Meanwhile, The Guardian noted that the church has become a symbol of Kiruna's transformation, with half the relocation complete and another decade needed to finish the rest.
This is all for today. Until we meet again, God bless. Goodbye.